So many of you may recognize the Maslab student who's talking to me for this robot. Do you want to, Chris, tell them why that is?
Well, I did Maslab back when I was a freshman, and really enjoyed it, but I thought there was a lot more I could get out of it by doing it again, because I really didn't know a whole lot going in. So this year I'm doing it again, and I've actually been involved, like I helped videotape for Maslab last year, so I know some of what goes on.
So this is not very typical. We don't usually have staffers decide to become students again, but Chris was very enthusiastic about Maslab. So why don't you introduce your team?
Okay, so our team, Jonathan over there, started the robot. Taylor's over here and Eric's back over here. We built our robot, Curious George, basically follows walls. The key thing about the robot is that the camera is mounted on a servo. So we can look around without moving the robot. And it can follow a wall while the camera looks around for things of interest. And if you look carefully, you can see that the camera's just scanning from side to side. See if you can see anything. While the robot goes around, follows the walls. Right now, it's kind of seeing that round thing at the end of the wall as a wall in front of it. Then now it actually sees the ball and it's going for the ball again. But one of the nice things about having the camera decoupled from the motion of the robot is that we can have the camera follow an object while we avoid an obstacle. So it actually knew that that post was there and went around the post while the camera still followed the object.
So I noticed it seems to be like jerking backwards periodically. Can you explain that?
Yes. Well, unfortunately, we hoped that our battery would be heavy enough to act as a counterweight, but when we actually constructed the robot, the center of mass is too high, and it sort of tips forward when it stops.
So does this cause any actual problem?
Not really. If we didn't have our gate mechanism on there and a large chain tied to the back caster, it would actually fall over forward. But right now it works pretty well.
Wait, so you have a large chain tied to your caster?
Yes. If you look at it, when the robot turns around, it's kind of hard to tell, but there's a heavy steel chain attached to the caster mount.
What is that for?
Just for weight.
Is it trying to pick up another ball?
Yeah, it's still trying to pick up balls. At some point it should realize that it has too many and it can't. But apparently it's not at that point. It's still just wandering around, picking up balls. It should also be looking for a goal if it sees one.
Did it see the goal?
Yes, it did. Now it saw the goal. So notice it ignored the red ball. So it sees this goal, and it's going to go and try to stick the balls in the goal. So then, it's just going to push it. Going to pick that up. And if we're lucky, we didn't get jammed against the wall. I can't actually see from here. We have problems with balls that are too close to the wall. The robot's not smart enough to tell that the ball's that close to the wall, so sometimes it'll get jammed like we saw over here and actually lose balls to the wall.
So do you have any problems because your camera is decoupled from the movement of the robot?
Well, sometimes if it's not tuned properly, you'll have oscillations because the camera is slow. The interesting thing, people will talk about the number of frames per second they can process, but we found that it took 10 times more time to actually move the servo to the new position that we wanted it to have. Then, so that time we noticed that the wall was too close to the ball, and I decided not to try to pick it up. So now it's just following the wall, wandering around. So going back to the problems with the camera. Sorry, let me see closer.
It takes a long time for the camera.
Yeah, thank you. It takes 10 times more time to actually move the servo to the new position that we want it to have than to actually process a frame because our image processing is really fast. So there are some delays in that, which cause problems, but in general, it's worked very well for us. So you can see the ball, but it might have some problems because that wall's right there. So you can see now it's trying to go around the wall because it doesn't want to run into it. It's probably just going to try to follow a wall. Unless you can see something. It might be able to see a ball over there. Admit, it's done. Okay, it decided that its time was up, and so it stopped.